Hey folks, this is David Smith at Correctional Officer Lifestyle. Coming to you tonight with a different kind of video. I have spent the vast majority of my time on this YouTube channel teaching younger staff how to go about the job. How to, as always, I have notes down here to help me keep on track, but how to become safe and productive members of the profession of corrections. And while it's great that there's no shortage of people teaching folks how to become safe and productive members of the profession of corrections, I thought I'd share a video on how I was molded into the corrections professional that I feel that I have become. What I have listed is a lot of quotes from various people that I have encountered throughout my career. And I'm going to start from when I was a CO1, actually from when I was in the academy, from when I was a trainee, up through now, I guess, maybe a year or two ago. The first thing that was ever told to me was on my first day of the academy, other than, of course, my dad, who is a corrections officer, telling me certain things about the job, but I never went into the job thinking that I know everything simply because my dad was an officer. There's very few things that drive me any more crazy than somebody that has never worked in the field, but because they have a family member that works in it, they think they know more than I do. That drives me crazy. You have to come into this field with an open mind, not knowing what to expect, and learning how to make your way in this very, very dangerous yet rewarding profession. The first thing that was said to me was by the instructor that I had my first night of the academy, and it was, "I don't want to hurt any of your feelings, but I have bad news for you. Just because someone has gone to court and been found guilty and are serving their prison sentence for crimes they have committed, they might not be done breaking the law." We went on further to tell us that they still break the law. They break the law inside the institution. They break the rules of prohibited conduct. They have to be taught that there's a better way. That goes into the rehabilitative mindset. The next thing was on a tour. I was going on a tour. Now, when I went through the academy, we were not yet corrections officers. We were not yet hired. We received a promissory note from the institution that they would hire us whenever we graduated from the academy and subsequently got our certification. But they toured us around the compound, and I remember somebody, he became one of my sergeants later, but he was a CO when I was on this tour, and he told us to stay visible. Stay visible. If we can't see you, we might not know you need help, and we might not be able to get help to you in a more timely manner. Stay visible. I took that to heart. There for a little while in my career, I absolutely ignored that advice because I found that I could disappear in a dormitory. You're there long enough, hidden in plain sight, as I like to call it, and the inmate population will forget you're there. It'll happen. It's not a safe practice. I don't recommend it, but it's one that I used on a routine basis. Also, when I was, and I'm jumping around a little bit, when I first started working confinement, I had a captain tell me, and I was a CO in confinement, I had a captain tell me that there are 3 personality types that you have to run an effective confinement unit. You have to have the leadership, which is generally your sergeant, but could be an officer with a leadership mindset. You have to have the voice of reason. That's the guy that routinely talks the inmates down. That's the guy that, and I say guy because I work in a male prison, and confinement is gender specific. Because of the necessity to strip search and shower the inmates, it is gender specific in that females will not be working in there. Excuse me. And the last one you need is a pit bull. You got to have a bulldog. You've got to have somebody with a mentality that they're going to win every time. Now, that was that captain's take on it, but I tend to find in a confinement setting that that's largely the truth, okay? But then there was another sergeant that taught me there's only 6 words you need to know to effectively run a confinement unit. There is no non-compliance in confinement. He would go on further to say compliance is mandatory. Non-compliance is what got you in confinement in the first place. So there's truth in that statement. If inmates cannot follow the rules inside the institution to the point where they make themselves a threat to the security of the institution, a threat to themselves, or a threat to others, and need to be placed into a segregated housing unit. Some people refer to it as segregation. Some people call it solitary. In the state of Florida, we call it confinement. Then they have to be taught a better way. They have to be communicated to that there is a better way for them to deal with it, deal with being incarcerated, and improve themselves so that they can be productive citizens when they get out. And one of the things that this particular sergeant was a stickler about was inmates in confinement will do what they're told. Inmates in confinement will do what is required of them to do, and what is required of them to do is what orders we give them, so that when they get out on the compound, they can take full advantage of the programs that are out there and better themselves so that they don't wind up right back in prison. Once I made sergeant, I was blessed with one of the best officers I've ever met. I myself am 6 foot tall, 320 pounds. Between the two of us, I was the little one. A rather small little one. He was a big boy. He told me my first night in there, he said, "Sarge, just sit back and relax. I'll let you know if I need you." He didn't say it in a mad way. He didn't say it in a bad way. He wasn't upset about me being a sergeant. He just wanted to let me know that the dorm was his. It was going to be run the way I wanted it run, but it was his. Basically, I was told that you tell me how you want it run, I'll make it happen. Pretty much the same thing I told every sergeant that I worked with prior to that. Tell me what you want done, I'll make it happen. Then I moved to confinement. And in confinement, I worked with a multitude of officers. Now, confinement was my bread and butter when I was a CO. That's what I did best. But as a sergeant, it's 100% completely different. It is a whole new ball game. But I had an officer who had one saying, whether he was correcting somebody else's work, doing somebody else's work that wasn't done, or making somebody wait while he did his work, his saying was, "It is too easy to do your job." I expanded on that a little bit. It is too easy to do your job than to have to explain to somebody why you didn't do your job. But he's the person that I got it from. It's too easy to do your job. It is too easy to come to work. It is too easy to fill out that log. Go get your searches done. Do everything you have to do. It is too easy to do your job than to try to explain to somebody why you didn't do your job. That was something that officer used to tell me every day when we were sergeants. Generally, it was because I was praising him for doing me a damn fine job. And he would tell me, "Well, Sarge, it's just too easy to do your job." He meant that. Now, we had a warden at that time frame that had two sayings that I can't help but think they are the keynote of supervisory sayings in the Department of Corrections, or in the profession of corrections. The first saying that he had was, do the right thing for the right reason at the right time. Okay, you expand on that. Do the right thing. What is the right thing? The right thing is having the integrity to do what's right, to keep within your policy and procedures, to keep within what is morally and ethically acceptable in society, at the right time. Lou Holtz said it best: there is never a right time to do the wrong thing, and there's never a wrong time to do the right thing. So you do the right thing at the right time, which is always for the right reason. The right reason is because it's the right thing to do. So do the right thing because it's the right thing to do all the time. Do the right thing for the right reason at the right time. The second thing that he said, and this one especially in the days where we are running so short-staffed, is I want everyone to come to work on time so that everyone can go home on time. I've had a lot of comments in a lot of my, in at least one of my videos, about me putting on equipment and going and doing somebody's job, or I'd rather have somebody get paid the 4 hours overtime than to have to stay over and do another 4 hours, blah, 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 whatever. And it's real simple. If everybody would come to work when they're supposed to be at work and get there on time, then everybody could go home when they're supposed to go home and go home on time. It's really that simple, guys. Come to work when you're supposed to be at work. Get there on time so that everybody that is there can leave on time and go spend time with their families. Another thing that a captain used to say when I worked for him in the control room, he would take a call in from somebody that was calling in sick, and I'd look at him and say, well, how far down does that put us? He said, doesn't matter. I'm not going to get mad at them, but they can't get mad at me when I write them up. True statement. If you have somebody that is abusing the sick leave, there is no sense in getting mad at that person. All it's going to do is raise your blood pressure. Am I the pot calling the kettle black? You damn right I am. I am the pot calling the kettle black. I lose my temper quickly with somebody calling in sick that always calls in sick. If I talk to this person once a week and they only have to work a maximum of 5 days in a week, there's some weeks where they only work 2 and they can't be bothered to come to work for those 2. Yeah, I have a tendency to lose my temper. This captain never did. He would tell them quick, I'm not going to get mad at you when you keep calling in sick, but you can't get mad at me when I have to write you up because you keep calling in sick. He's right. He's right. That pendulum swings both ways. Okay. Now, as an officer, and I missed one of these, this was from one of my favorite captains that I ever worked with. This particular individual didn't anybody ever call in sick when he was on duty. We loved working for him that much. When he left our shift, not when he left the institution, when he left our shift, we went and got a cake and bought him a nice set of cross pins because he meant that much to us. He come up to me one day, asked me how long I'd been there. I told him I'd been there 6 weeks. 6 weeks. He said, well, I guess you're no longer Kelly green. Now you're more of a lime green. That was an icebreaker. That was his way of saying, it's okay. I know that you're new, but you're not as new as you think you are. It's okay. Now, on to some of the other sergeants that I worked with. One of them is famous for saying, the hardest part of your job is showing up. No truer words have ever been spoken. That is literally the hardest part of my job. Getting out of the bed, getting in the uniform, and going through the gate. That's the hardest part of my job. It doesn't have to be. If everybody comes to work, I have one of the best jobs in the state of Florida if everybody's at work. I really do. The captain, if everybody is at work and you have a fully complemented staff, the captain's job is not hard. It's when you're worried about staffing that roster and you're worried about people not making it out of there in one piece. That's what makes the captain's job hard in the state of Florida, is the staffing issues. Now, we had a sergeant that worked with us for a while, and he would lose his mind with inmates as quickly as any other human being I've ever seen lose their mind with inmates. But you couldn't tell. Later on in his career, you couldn't tell that he had lost his mind with an inmate because of how he presented himself and what he would say to the inmates. Now, this was one of our gang investigators, and he, as a gang investigator, dealt with some of the most problematic inmates in our population. But he would always, every time he had a problem with one of them, say the exact same thing. Inmate, stop resisting and submit to hand restraints. Or do you need staff assistance? Every inmate out there knew that staff assistance means we're going to use either physical or chemical agent force to get you into hand restraints because we see you as a threat to the security of this institution and you need to go to confinement. I kind of took that and ran with it. So while all these videos are just me talking to you, all those quotes were people just talking to me. I've made a 27-year career off of those quotes that were spoken to me. It's not the words, it's the meaning behind the words. It's not what is said or how it is said. It is the meaning behind what is said. Okay? Some people, when I did my video about what happens when you call in sick, there were some people that were up in arms with me because it sounded like I was laying a guilt trip on people to come to work. And I guess, kind of in a manner of speaking, it appeared that I was. But I wasn't. I was just telling you, when you don't come to work, it's not safe. The meaning behind it isn't, I don't want you to spend time with your family. That's not the meaning behind what I was saying. The meaning behind it isn't, I want you to miss everything that's going on with your family because you have to be at work. The meaning behind it was there's other people that want to enjoy those things with their families, but they have to stay because somebody else didn't come to work. The meaning behind the badge. The meaning behind the badge. I spoke at length about the badge. It was words. It was a lot of words. But the words are not important. The meaning behind the words is important. The meaning behind the words that I spoke about, what that badge means to me, is what is vital. Okay? So all these quotes that I just listed molded me into the officer that I am today. Okay? I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I have bad news for you. Just because an inmate's going to court and is serving time in prison does not mean that he's done breaking the law. That means that you're dealing with people that are of a criminal mindset, and you have to be in the mindset to deal with that. Stay visible. We can't see you. We can't help you. There's only 6 words you need to know to run confinement. There's no non-compliance in confinement. Somewhere the buck has to stop. Somewhere you have to draw a line in the sand and say, we're not going to act like this. Okay? Sarge, just sit back and relax. I'll take care of it. That's a big one. That's a real big one. But I think there's 2 that I left out. There's 2 that I wanted at the end of this video simply because one of them is from a former warden that we had at the institution, and the other one is from somebody that I was able to groom when they first came in. And I just want to share these 2 with you at the last of this video because of the profound impact that they had on me. One of them is rather funny. The other one is rather embarrassing. Okay. I had a dozen years in the department as a CO1 when this individual that came in and asked me this said, when I came in today, there was a stack of sergeant's promotions packet on my desk for approval, and your name wasn't in it. Why? He threw me on Front Street. He come right to me in an open chow hall in front of other staff members and inmates to ask me why I'm sitting on my laurels. Why aren't you advancing through the ranks? What I took from that is, hey, stupid, this man sees potential in you. You might want to go ahead and put your paperwork in so that you can get promoted to sergeant. One of the last things he did at the institution before he went off to bigger and better things, greener pastures, however you want to look at it, was to put chevrons on my collar. I wish I had listened to him 10 years prior, but I was stubborn. And the last one comes from one of mine. We had a disturbance, and this individual can be heard on camera. It's somebody that I brought in, or somebody that came in on my watch, somebody that I groomed, got him right when he fresh out of the academy, and he was one of my people on shift. He was one of my officers on shift. He's made sergeant, and during this disturbance, he can be heard saying, y'all might have started it, but we're going to finish it. I couldn't be more proud of that statement, knowing that I helped to instill that mindset into him. I helped to instill into him that we don't lose. One team, one fight. We don't lose. That just makes me extremely proud. And there it is, folks. That's those words and the meaning behind them, everything that I told you in this video, are what molded me into what I am today. I just wanted to share them with you because it's important. It's important for my history to be out there so that everybody that is listening to these videos will understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. I am trying to help as many people as I can help because all of these people helped me. And I want to pay it forward. Thank y'all for listening. If you like this video, please make sure you hit the like button. You want to see more, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications when I post new videos, and hit me with some comments. If somebody has ever told you something that profoundly impacted you in your career, let me know about it, please. It's important to me that I hear about it because, let's face it, we're not in this alone. We have a slogan in the Florida Department of Corrections that we never walk alone. That is the truth. That is the truth. We never walk alone. That being said, there's other people that don't need to walk alone. Those are the victims of domestic violence. If you know somebody that is a victim, or you yourself are the victim, 1-800-799-SAFE. 1-800-799-7233. That is the domestic violence hotline. The people at the other end of that phone call have the tools, resources, and ability to help the victims of domestic violence. If you know the aggressor in a domestic violence situation, say something to somebody. Remember, the worst thing you can do is nothing. And if you are the victor, or if you are the aggressor, there is help for you too. All you have to do is ask for it after you realize you need it. Folks, remember, love shouldn't hurt. I am my brother's keeper. I am my sister's keeper. I'll see you on the next video. Y'all stay safe.